After my brother's marriage, the house changed in a way I hadn't expected. His room was emptied, his laughter replaced by quiet hallways and long evenings where only the television filled the silence. It was just my mother and me then. I told myself this was temporary, that things would settle, that we would learn a new rhythm together. After all, she was the woman who raised me, who reminded me constantly of sacrifices she had made, and I carried that history like a debt I could never fully repay. I worked longer hours, took on extra responsibilities, and quietly became the one who kept the household running. When bills piled up, I paid them. When debts resurfaced from old loans and poor decisions, I stepped in without hesitation. I told myself family doesn't keep score. Each payment felt like proof of loyalty, like I was finally doing enough to deserve my place in that home. Still, something in her tone shifted. Gratitude slowly faded, replaced by impatience and sharp glances that lingered longer than necessary. She began pointing out everything I did wrong. The way I came home late, the way I spoke too little, the way I no longer seemed present. I tried harder, thinking effort would fix it. I cleaned more, contributed more, stayed quieter. But the more I gave, the colder the house felt. It was as if my support had made me invisible, or worse, replaceable. One evening, without warning, she told me I needed to leave. No build-up, no discussion, just a firm declaration that she wanted her space and her peace back. I stood there stunned, replaying every sacrifice in my mind, every payment receipt, every promise I had kept. I expected hesitation, maybe regret. Instead, I saw relief in her eyes. That night, as I lay awake surrounded by half-packed boxes, something inside me shifted. The hurt was real, but beneath it was clarity. I realized I had been trying to earn belonging in a place that no longer saw me as family. As the sun rose and moving day approached, I felt something unexpected settle in my chest. I wasn't planning to beg, explain, or fight anymore. And for the first time, I knew I wouldn't be leaving quietly. In the days that followed, I moved through the house like a shadow, observing everything I had ignored before. My mother's urgency wasn't about space or peace. It was about control. The same week she told me to leave, her habits changed. Phone calls became hushed and frequent. Papers I had never seen before appeared on the dining table, then disappeared when I entered the room. She stopped asking me for help, not because she no longer needed it, but because she had already secured something else. I began piecing things together, quietly. Old debt notices I had paid off resurfaced in my memory, along with vague explanations she had given me at the time. I checked my bank records late at night, scrolling through transactions I once made without question. The numbers told a story I hadn't wanted to hear. I hadn't just helped her stabilize. I had cleared the way for her next move. My support hadn't been an act of love in her eyes. It had been a strategy. As I packed my belongings, I noticed how little of the house was actually mine. The furniture I bought was suddenly hers. The appliances I paid for were spoken of as gifts she never asked for. Even my presence was reframed as a burden she had endured. Each comment landed like a reminder that generosity without boundaries turns into permission for misuse. I overheard enough to understand the final truth. She had plans that didn't include me, plans that required me to be gone, so she could start fresh without the weight of acknowledging what I had done for her. My brother's departure hadn't left her lonely. It had shown her how easily people could be replaced. And now I was next. Instead of confronting her, I stayed calm. I smiled when spoken to. I packed methodically, labeling boxes, organizing documents, collecting every proof of payment and responsibility I had carried. The anger didn't explode the way I expected. It sharpened. It turned into focus. I wasn't looking for revenge fueled by chaos. I wanted resolution powered by truth. By the time moving day was confirmed, I was ready in ways she didn't anticipate. I had secured my own place, quiet and modest, but mine. I had rerouted my finances, closed accounts, and untangled myself from obligations that were never truly shared. I stopped trying to explain myself to someone who had already rewritten the narrative. The final realization came with surprising calm. I understood that being pushed out wasn't a punishment. It was an exit I hadn't known how to choose for myself. As I sealed the last box and took one final look around the house I thought I belonged to, I felt no fear. I felt prepared, and as moving day approached, I knew exactly what I would do when she expected tears, guilt, or resistance. Moving day arrived quietly, without the drama she seemed to expect. I woke up early, calm in a way that surprised even me. The house felt smaller, lighter, as if it had already accepted my absence. When the movers began carrying boxes out, my mother stood nearby, watching with an expression that suggested victory. This was the moment she had pushed for, the moment she believed would restore her control. What she didn't realize was how much had changed behind the scenes. The debts I had paid were done permanently, but the safety net she relied on was gone. The automatic payments, the silent financial support, the unspoken guarantees, all of it ended the moment she asked me to leave. I hadn't announced it. I hadn't warned her. I simply stepped back and let reality take its place. As the last box was loaded, she began listing reminders, expectations disguised as advice, hints that I could still be called upon if needed. That was when it happened. I laughed, not out of bitterness or mockery, but out of genuine relief. The sound surprised both of us. It was the laughter of someone who finally understood that walking away was not failure, but freedom. Her expression shifted instantly. Confusion replaced certainty. For the first time, she realized this wasn't a punishment for me. It was an ending she no longer controlled. I didn't explain myself. I didn't revisit old sacrifices or unpaid gratitude. I simply thanked her for raising me and wished her well, leaving the rest unsaid. Weeks later, the silence spoke louder than any confrontation ever could. Calls came less frequently, then stopped. I heard through others that things weren't as easy anymore, that responsibilities felt heavier without someone quietly absorbing the weight. I felt no satisfaction in that knowledge, only closure. In my new place, surrounded by peace instead of tension, I finally understood why I laughed that day. I wasn't laughing at her. I was laughing at the moment I realized I no longer needed to prove my worth to anyone. Being kicked out hadn't taken anything from me. It had given me my life back, and that was something no debt payment could ever buy.